Moon Day. And my first question for you, Dr. Nelson, it has to do with legacy and your vision. What inspired you to champion this national recognition? And what impact were you hoping it would have on the Caribbean diaspora?
Thank you for having me. And really, the movement for Caribbean American Heritage Month really is a part of the reason why I started Institute of Caribbean Studies in the first place. Sometimes you set off on a journey knowing that what you want is to change dynamics, change the status quo. And the status quo we wanted to change was to have Caribbean people in America participate in the conversation about US foreign policy affecting them. That was the justification. I was living in Washington, D.C. It was the early 1980s was when I moved to Washington, D.C. So I had very much been a part of watching the ongoing conversation in the then US, worried about the Caribbean countries becoming socialist and living through the assassination of Maurice Bishop and all of that drama. And in most of the newscasts, there were never any Caribbean people whose opinions were sought. And as a young person who was very opinionated, coming out of St. Louis High School, I really felt that why they don't ask me what we think? I mean, why they assume that it's what's really happening? And so we were used to have back in those days what I call young professional networking mixers, right?
Yeah.
And so myself and actually two African Americans were very much a part of that networking thing. And they were very much into international business. So one thing led to the another. And in one of the frustrating moments when old people at the time, I guess I would now be in that category, were trying to deny us to do something, one of them said, girl, you ought to start your own organization and just do it ourselves. You were the president, I was the vice president. I said, okay, sure. And so that is how ICS was born. And so when the opportunity came, I mean, you have it in your mind that there's a Black History Month, there was a Hispanic Heritage Month, and that was always, how come the Hispanics have a month and we don't have one? But I really didn't know how it was going to happen. I had no clue. However, I was chosen by a woman who was then the White House outreach for African Americans. And she had a very clear vision of the change that was happening in America, that they were not just traditional African Americans, they were what she considered Black immigrants that also need to have a voice at the table. And she was astute enough to recognize that when there were conversations happening around immigration, it should not only be